Can YoonA truly become the next Ye-jin? Fans fiercely debate. What if the most flawless idol face of the past 15 years is quietly evolving into the most versatile actress of her generation, and almost no one has noticed yet? YoonA has spent nearly 2 decades being told she is too beautiful to be taken seriously as an actress, a curse that followed her from her Girls' Generation days all the way to primetime television. Yet, in the last 5 years, something seismic has happened. She has delivered one restrained, soul-crushing performance after another, each time peeling away another layer of that untouchable visual aura, until what remains is raw, unmistakable acting caliber. When you watch her latest works back-to-back, from the fragile office worker in Hush, the heartbroken chaebol daughter in The King in Love, the morally torn prosecutor in Big Mouth, and most recently, the exhausted miracle worker doctor in King the Land, who still somehow makes exhaustion look poetic, you realize the idol actress label no longer fits. What you're seeing is an artist who has finally found the exact frequency where her almost unfair beauty becomes a weapon instead of a cage. The turning point for many Korean viewers came in 2022 with Big Mouth. Playing Go Mi-ho, a woman who watches her ordinary life collapse the moment her husband is framed for murder, YoonA did something no one expected from the nation's former CF queen. She became ugly on purpose. Not ugly in the way dramas sometimes slap a fake scar on an actress and call it brave, but ugly in the soul sense. Hair unwashed for weeks, eyes swollen from crying in a prison visiting room, voice hoarse from screaming at corrupt officials. When she slammed her fists on the table and begged the warden for 5 more minutes with her husband, half the audience forgot they were watching YoonA of SNSD. They were watching a wife losing her mind in real time. That single scene alone sparked thousands of forum posts asking the same question. Since when could she do this? But the transformation had actually been brewing much earlier. Rewind to 2019's Exit, a disaster action comedy that seemed like pure commercial fare. Everyone remembers the crazy stunts and Suzy running around in a climbing outfit, yet quietly in the background, YoonA stole every scene she was in as Ye-jin, the sarcastic former rock climbing club member who never once let her perfect face betray panic, even while dangling from a skyscraper covered in toxic gas. Critics at the time dismissed her as serviceable. But watch it again today, and you'll notice the micro-expressions. The tiny twitch of her lower lip when she realizes her family might die. The way she forces a joke through clenched teeth to keep her niece calm. Those are not idle reflexes. Those are the choices of someone who has been secretly studying the craft for years. Then came Hush in 2020. A drama almost designed to be ignored by the international crowd because it was about journalists and office politics. Here, YoonA played Lee Ji-soo, an intern who starts idealistic and ends up compromising piece by piece until she barely recognizes herself. The genius of her performance lies in how ordinary she made Ji-soo feel. No dramatic monologues, no crying while rain falls cliches, just a slow, excruciating erosion of self that you only notice when you compare episode 1, Ji-soo smiling at her first byline, to episode 16, Ji-soo staring dead-eyed at a computer screen at 3 a.m. It's the kind of quiet acting that rarely wins awards, but haunts viewers for months. Exactly the same lingering ache Ye-jin leaves after Be With You or Crash Landing on You. And that is where the next Ye-jin conversation truly begins. Not because YoonA is copying anyone, but because she has reached the same rare territory. the ability to make audiences cry, not by screaming or looking pitiful, but by doing almost nothing. Think of Son Ye-jin in the final scene of April Snow, sitting on that bench, face completely still, while a single tear rolls down. Now think of YoonA in King the Land episode 14, sitting alone in the hotel corridor after finding out her mother never actually abandoned her. Just one tear, perfectly timed, perfectly placed, and somehow more devastating than any breakdown. Both moments work because the actresses trust silence more than dialogue, a skill that cannot be taught in a few acting classes between comeback schedules. What separates YoonA right now from fully stepping into that national actress mantle is simple. The industry still doesn't trust her with the ultimate leading role in a prestige melodrama written specifically for her. Son Ye-jin became Son Ye-jin because at age 30-something, she was handed scripts like Pretty Nuna Who Buys Me Food and Something in the Rain that let her carry the emotional center of gravity alone. YoonA, at 35, is still being offered co-lead romances opposite megastars Lee Jun-ho, Lee Jong-suk, Cho Jong-suk, where the story is shared 50-50. The question is no longer whether she can act. The question is whether TVN or Netflix will finally bet $20 million on an YoonA vehicle the way they once bet on Son Ye-jin, Kim Hee-ae, or Jeon Do-yeon. Early signs are promising. Industry insiders whisper that her 2026 project, tentatively titled The Miracle, is exactly that kind of prestige melodrama. A terminally ill woman who receives a heart transplant and begins experiencing memories that aren't hers. If the rumors are true, it will be the first time YoonA headlines a weekend primetime slot completely on the strength of her name. No male superstar to carry the ratings. More importantly, the script is reportedly penned by the writer of It's Okay to Not Be Okay and directed by the PD of When the Camellia Blooms, the same team that turned Gong Hyo-jin into a legend at age 39. In other words, the Korean drama machine finally seems ready to anoint its next queen. But perhaps the most telling evidence that YoonA has already crossed the threshold is happening off-screen. Acting veterans who once politely praised her beauty now speak of her in a different tone. When Kim Hae-soo presented her with the Excellence Award in 2022, she didn't say, "You've improved so much." She said, "I was moved." When veteran actress Kim Mi-kyung, the nation's favorite drama mom, filmed Hush with her, she told reporters, "That child's eyes have weight now. You can't teach that." Even Son Ye-jin herself, in a 2023 radio interview, was asked which junior actress she finds most promising and answered without hesitation, "YoonA." She surprises me every time. People still don't know how good she's become. And maybe that's the ultimate irony. For 15 years, the public kept waiting for the moment YoonA would finally prove she could act, while all along she was slowly, methodically doing exactly that, one small but perfect tear at a time. The girl who once introduced herself to the world with, "Genie, tell me your wish," has spent the second act of her career granting her own wish, to be seen not as a face, but as a soul capable of carrying an entire nation's weekend tears. So, to the original question, can YoonA become the Son Ye-jin of the next generation? She doesn't need to become anything. She's already there. The industry and the audience just haven't caught up to the quiet revolution that has been unfolding right in front of us, one devastatingly restrained performance at a time. When the history books of Hallyu acting are written 20 years from now, there will be a chapter that begins, "We spent a decade calling her too beautiful to act, and then one day we looked up and realized she had become one of the best actresses of her generation without ever raising her voice." and we will all feel a little foolish for taking so long to notice.